If you compare it to Tokyo, Singapore, Hong Kong,
Yeah.
it feels like the Dubai UAE Dream today. I think we're a fraction of their price.
What is their checklist when it comes to investing here?
Okay, look, when you're coming in, location is important. My little quote, Dubai is the gold standard of real estate.
I love that. And so true, so true. How do we see things shifting as of recent when it comes to communities that are now definitely a lot more focused?
Do a study what's going to be the best place in the world to put your money in real estate. Right now, it is.
In today's episode, I'm joined by none other than Mr. Loai Al Fakir, the CEO and founder of Provident Real Estate, a prominent real estate firm based right here in Dubai, a key player in the Dubai property market. I always like to keep it brief because I feel like we're going to learn from your expertise throughout this episode. So thank you once again for joining us and being here. I think first things first, and to really set the scene for everybody, when we talk about the conversation of real estate, nowadays, Dubai is probably one of the first locations that is mentioned worldwide. Is that justified?
Absolutely. I mean, look, if I look back when I was young, like 20 years ago, and you know what were the cities that you would hear, you know, New York, London, Paris, Milan, and these, or Singapore, Hong Kong. Dubai is one of these cities mentioned, and probably mentioned at the top before you mention any of these cities. I mean, what they've developed and what they've created in this city's great. I've been here since like 2005, and I've seen it grow. And in every way, the infrastructure, the economy, the development, the lifestyle. I mean, it's quite an amazing place to be in every form or way, I can say.
Yeah. You know, as someone who's lived here for 8 years, I honestly feel like every time I'm in a different country speaking about Dubai and the UAE, it feels like I have been hired by the government to do so. But it is so genuine. When you're speaking, I completely mirror your emotions behind the city and the country. But I guess when we're talking about global appeal, let's actually break that down. For anybody listening right now who potentially hasn't even been to Dubai and hasn't even been to the UAE, where is this global appeal coming from? Why is Dubai the place? Not just generally, but also for the real estate industry.
I mean, look, there's a lot of factors that are important. Safety, security, the lifestyle, the infrastructure. It's a city that, you know, you got like, when you walk around, you'll meet every nationality possible. The luxurious hotels, the great food and the restaurants. I mean, even, you know what's unique in the last couple of 4 or 5 years, I've noticed it. A lot of brands that started in the UAE are going abroad. And people, they're building brands. Like you got Gaia restaurant. There's Gaia now in Monaco, in London, even in Miami, and different brands as such that are popping out of the UAE and establishing themselves abroad. Even developers, you got like Sobha. They got developments now in the US. You got Imar, got projects in a lot of other countries. Damac. So a lot of the brands from the UAE are expanding abroad successfully. So it's not just like companies are coming to the UAE. Companies from here are expanding outside. And that says a lot about what's happened in the last like 5 years in the UAE.
Well, let's talk about the fact that you have been here for 20 years, because then you would have seen a complete shift in being that a lot of brands were just homegrown and they were accepted as homegrown, and then they kind of stayed here. There's in many industries a kind of like roof and a ceiling that you would hit, and that's as far as it would kind of go. Now we're all expanding. Now the world, it has become a lot smaller with, you know, digitization, with social media, with everything. But specifically in the real estate world, how have you seen that shift with the world getting smaller, with everything being a lot more accessible?
You see, buyer behavior has really changed. Back like 10, 15 years ago, when you're buying a property, you tend to buy a property where? In your area, where you want to live, where your family. But because of the globalization, people are moving abroad, buying properties, investing in properties. And we've seen that shift. And Dubai has kind of been the hub of that. Where do you want to invest? It's safety, it's security. So if you're in the UK, what are the options to buy an investment in property? And property is the best asset that you want to invest in. You got stocks, bonds, and all of that. But everyone predominantly looks at real estate because it holds its value, appreciates, you make a return. So where do you have the security, the safety, the lifestyle that you want to live? And Dubai ticks all the boxes. So it's attracted a lot of people to come and purchase a property here as an investment. But when they come and visit Dubai, they're like, I got the beach. Okay, I got the best restaurants. I got the best schools. Hospitality is great. Medcare is great. Everything's good over here. I can move my family. And I think COVID was that trigger. I mean, people were attracted to Dubai before, but after COVID, where people were stuck at home, and the people with money, then when their countries opened up, they're like, okay, let's go on a vacation to Dubai. And they come and they land to Dubai in airport, and they're like, wow, what an amazing airport. What amazing infrastructure, roads. What amazing hotels and hospitality. All the best restaurants around the world that I see in Marbella, Monaco, New York, London, Miami, and LA, they're all actually in one city. It just ticks all the boxes for them. And location-wise, you can go to any place around the world in 4, 5, 8-hour flight.
Yeah.
I mean, if you live in LA, you have to travel at minimum like 12 hours to go to anywhere in the world, or 15 hours. Dubai is just like centralized, not only as a location, as a city, you got Emirates traveling directly to most places that everyone wants to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that geographical location, that was what I was coming on to, which was that real connect between East and West.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing such a surge of investors actually now furthermore coming from the West, the US being a huge influx as of recent. Let's talk about the global investors, because that's such a key topic. There may be a lot of people listening to this podcast right now who have never been to Dubai, but potentially interested in investing because of everything that they're hearing. What would you say to them?
Look, so historically we've had the Indians, Pakistanis, you know, the South Asians, and the Arab communities buying. So in 2011, in the Arab Spring, we had the Arab Springs of buyers coming on. After the COVID, it brought in a lot of the Europeans. We've had a lot of Europeans in the past. Like the Brits have been buying for over 15, 20 years in Dubai. So have the French and the Italians. But the amount of quantity that has been coming in has gone up exponentially. So Europeans, the US also. We're seeing a lot of people from the US coming because they're hearing about Dubai. They're flying over here and they're like, what a beautiful place. And obviously, Dubai markets itself, but a lot of the developers going to the US and doing these road shows and understanding a lot about Dubai and then coming and visiting Dubai, they're like, wow, that's where we want to invest. And people like diversification, they want to diversify their investments in other things, especially when it comes to real estate. They don't want to just invest in their own country. And ideally, if you look around the world today, what are the options? It's very limited. And the most secure and has, like you can say, the real estate industry here is pretty established and secure because of escrow accounts. The UAE is pegged to the dollar, so they know there's not much currency fluctuation. They know it's established. My money's safe when I'm buying from a developer. It has the right infrastructure. Predominantly, everyone speaks English over here. You can meet every possible nationality. If I'm American, I'll meet Americans on the road. If I'm Brazilian, I'll meet Brazilians on the road. If I'm French, I'll meet French on the road. If I'm Brit, I'll have a British community over here. It really touches every possible point for these people.
Yeah, absolutely. There's pockets absolutely everywhere. And it's interesting because we've covered and we've spoken about the individuals who want to move here because of the lifestyle, because of the good education, because of just everything that the country provides for a human being. But now let's switch to entrepreneurs and businesses. It's been such a huge space for innovation, for thinking ahead, for the future. You are a prime example of that. You began that 20 years ago when you started Provident Real Estate. Have you seen a real influx as of late, or do you think that this has just been a slow increase over the last few decades?
There's always been people moving over here to Dubai since I came. Like, it's always been increasing. But in the last 4 or 5 years, we have to be grateful to the city and to the rulers of how they've expanded and how they've allowed innovation over here. UAE today is investing in a lot of AI. They've accepted crypto. They've really built the infrastructures of the roads, all industries, the banking industry. So when people come and move over here, they feel they have everything for them to grow. And when you're here, to be honest, when you come and visit Dubai, you're surrounded by ambitious, intelligent, like-minded people that kind of motivates you and makes you more motivated and more ambitious and gives you a drive to be successful. And I think that's what the city does to you. And it feels like, when they say the American dream, it feels like the Dubai UAE dream today. And that's thanks to the government and what they've established and building the right infrastructures for us to be able to succeed over here and to attract all the people. I mean, when you're reading statistics, they had like 4,500 millionaires last year moving to the UAE, and they expect more. And I think it's the highest ranking city in the world of movement of millionaires to any city in the world. And there's a reason for that. I mean, all these people are looking for good healthcare, safety, security, lifestyle, and I think it ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, you spoke about the American dream and, calling it now the UAE dream that we're all living and breathing here. So let's actually compare Dubai's, real estate industry and its scope in comparison to a conglomerate like the US. When we're talking about tax advantages, rental yields, investor incentives, to those in the US market in comparison, where are we at with that?
I mean, look, we're good. Today we got VAT, okay, but that doesn't really affect the real estate market. Corporate taxes on 9%, but again, we're not taxed on our rental income.
Yeah.
So that's something to clarify to a lot of people. End of the day, also here, the rental yields are a lot higher in the US. Me, myself, I invest in the US. I've been investing since 2008, buying properties in the US. And roughly the real yields over there are like 4.5%, 5%. In Dubai, I mean, at times have reached, I don't want to be saying that because everyone's going to be looking for these numbers. I have properties making me 15%. But that's not what happens all the time, right? The average yield is 8.5, which is a lot more than the US today.
So for investors that are listening right now, I think you've probably convinced them by now.
I mean, look, also today you have to understand Dubai, if you compare it to all these major cities around the world, the average square foot price is comparatively a lot less than most major cities. If you compare it to Tokyo, Singapore, Hong Kong, I think we're a fraction of their price. And today we've got like a trend of the branded residence and the luxury segment, and that still is underpriced compared to other cities. And if you compare us to London, like you get a branded residence over here or a luxury property, you got the top of the line pools, top of the line spas, top of the line facilities, amenities, security and everything. And then you go look at a well-priced in London, in central London, you're like, I don't get any of these services in my building. I'm getting a lot more for my money for a lot less.
Yeah.
So the potential increase is going to be a lot more, right?
Absolutely. And I think that, now that we are on the topic, a massive topic that has been is the, geopolitics of the world that has had a knock-on and butterfly effect on so many things in the real estate market here in the UAE. Trump being elected, one of them. And I have to touch on that because how would you say his return so far has affected everything that you are doing in your space at the moment?
Look, for me, historically, when I look back at Dubai, because I've been here for 20 years, when we had the Arab Spring, Dubai benefited. When we had COVID, Dubai benefited. When the war in Ukraine happened, Dubai benefited. It doesn't mean we're going to benefit every time, but let's look, for me, I mean, if we're going to get into the whole political kind of thing, people are kind of like, in a way, kind of skeptical, concerned of what's happening in the US. There's a major shift to change in their politics. Obviously, there's going to be effects. We have to wait and see. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I think it will be positive in the long term because there are effects that Trump is pushing the dollar to get devalued, which will even lower prices in the UAE. It will make it cheaper to buy if you're in the Eurozone. That's one thing. UAE has a very good relationship with Trump. From what we see, they're investing in AI infrastructure in the US, so there's going to be a positive, course with the Dubai and the UAE with them. And people still want to move their money. I mean, if there's, when people are scared, they want to move their money outside the country they're in. And if they're scared where they are, so obviously they want to move it to somewhere safe, secure. And where else in Dubai and the UAE currently? So I think we're going to have a positive impact, but we can wait to see. but I'm more certain it's going to be a positive outcome for us.
Yeah.
And I'm a very long-term advocate for UAE. When you're investing in real estate, if you're investing short-term, a lot of people have made a lot of money in short-term, but when we're speaking to our investors, we're always telling them, look in the long term. And if you look at Dubai in the long term and their goals for Vision 2030 and 2040, you'll really understand that's the city to put your money in. I'm not telling you move all your money over here, but a certain portion of your money should be here. If you're going to be investing in gold, come invest in Dubai, because that's the gold standard of real estate today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite interesting because, I feel like over time, the belief or, the permission to believe media and the information that we are fed has now kind of shifted in trust. A lot of people now, I feel like, are making decisions or investment decisions, particularly based on word of mouth and recommendations through
Absolutely.
people. Do you think that has been a strong point or a view that has really driven Dubai?
Absolutely. I mean, look, we even speak on the floor, in the sales floor in our office, that 60% of our buyers are repeat purchasers and referrals. So, I mean, that's a testament by itself, right? Additionally, we were doing statistics and studies because we do a quarterly and a yearly report about the Dubai market. 50 to 60% of the buyers in the UAE currently in the off-plan sector are non-residents. And that's been growing and growing. And that's quite an interesting fact.
Yeah.
So we've been seeing a huge increase in international buyers in the UAE.
Yeah, wow. Well, okay, we've covered the US.
Yeah.
I think that we've ticked that off. Let's talk about China really quickly, because the China's real estate crisis, everybody's calling it, instability in their market might actually shift investor focus to Dubai. Have you already seen that? Is that something that's been visible?
Look, the Chinese have been buying in the UAE for the last 6-7 years pre-COVID, and they've been buying aggressively in certain communities and certain developers, and I think that will continue. From time to time, they'll slow down for 4 or 5 months because of political issues, and they come back as strong as they did before. The Chinese are an interesting, they're culturally, they love to invest in real estate, and they invest in real estate all around the world. And Dubai is one of these cities, and I think that's never going to change. It's just like the Indian market. Indians love to invest in gold and real estate, right? And Dubai is like their second home. So they're always coming to buy here. That will never change, and that will never stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess what we're doing right now is breaking down, buyer personas.
Yeah.
We spoke about people coming in from the US. We spoke about essentially expats and families coming here for a better life. Is that something that you specifically look at when it comes to data, the type of people coming
Absolutely.
over?
I mean, look, we're always studying the different nationalities who are coming in because we want to know how to target them and take our market share as an agency. Lately, we even look at the traffic on our website. Like, we've seen a huge traffic from Belgium and Netherlands in the last couple of months. And I went back and I wanted to find out why. And we realized there was a new tax that's coming on inheritance and new taxes and increase in taxes. And a lot of people and the crime that's been happening over there. And we realized that's why there's been a shift. A lot of people are inquiring, they want to move over. And that's what we're seeing with different countries.
Yeah, I want to kind of take you back now, because we touched on COVID very, very briefly. Honestly, every conversation that I have about real estate there tends to be kind of like a conversational point about COVID, because it was such a huge shift.
Absolutely.
Not just in real estate, in all aspects of life, but the lifestyle shifts that people have had, whether you are a resident within the UAE, whether you are, abroad and global. This remote work shift that we've seen in businesses amongst a lot of innovators, expats, families to Dubai, better quality of life. How did COVID, although as horrible as it was for many people, actually, we speak about benefiting Dubai. How did COVID benefit Dubai?
I mean, look, it showed people that you can work remotely. That is one thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, like even me, I was skeptical before, like, could you work remote and really run your company the way you wanted? And will it be still successful? And you can scale it and grow it. It allowed us to realize, because we started using Zoom, Zoom and Google Meets. I don't remember using Google Meets or Zoom before COVID. I mean, I have better meetings on Zoom than face to face, right? So a lot of big entrepreneurs realize I can run my business from wherever I can in the world. And a lot of people realize it, like you got the influencers and all of that they don't have to be connected or stuck in one city, that I can live where I want. And that allows people that, like, if I can live wherever I want, where would I want to live? And again, I'm sorry to say, I keep on saying it, it's Dubai. It's on the top of the list.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure for some people it's LA, Miami, London, Paris, New York, Japan, or Tokyo, or whatever. But on the top of the list for a lot of people is Dubai. Why? The lifestyle, again, the best restaurants, the best service. You're close to the beach. You got sunshine all year round. And in the summertime, you can be back home in the best places in Europe, right? You don't have to spend your summer here in the heat. You can go back to Europe. You can go back to the US. But you live in Dubai. You put your kids in a great school. You're not worried about your kids, anything happening to them. Good education, close proximity, a flight to wherever you want. And you're close to home. You're closer to home in a way for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And that kind of lifestyle that we're talking about with a lot of people's perspectives across the world, you know, Dubai, it's, you know, over the top, it's so blingy. You know, there's a lot of these, okay, I'm just paraphrasing here, so a lot of comments that I've heard in previous times. But with that, there has been a big increase in demand of luxury living.
Correct.
As well. So how has that shifted? And have you seen an even bigger shift as of recent?
Yes, absolutely. Look, we've seen an increase in luxury living, like all the luxury projects. I mean, every other week or every other day, we see record-breaking transactions for penthouses, for villas, for apartments. And that behavior is still continuing because a lot of people with a lot of money want to have a presence in Dubai, either a second home or their main home. And we've seen that happen from all around the world currently. We've seen from the luxury segment, generally, you got the German, the French, the Italians, the Americans, the Europeans, and a lot of Indians. I mean, there's Indians, I know a lot of Indians that live over here, that's home for them, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that it's high-end living standards that a lot of people have, but there's also a real focus on sustainable developments. And your experience in, I know you briefly mentioned in tech previously, smart cities has been such a huge focus for so many investors, or for people as residents who want to buy and live in. Let's talk about that tech aspect of things. How do we see things shifting as of recent when it comes to communities that are now definitely a lot more focused on that aspect?
You see, a lot of communities changed when I came to Dubai. So a lot of the communities today have better facilities, better amenities. I think developers learned from, you know, back in 2005, 2006, how to build communities for families, communities for the type of lifestyle that people want to have. You got paddle places, you got running tracks, you got bicycle tracks, you've got tennis courts, you got basketball courts, you got hospitals, you got schools in the communities. Today, I mean, you look at a lot of communities, just like, for example, here, right now we're in Sobha Heartland. You could just be in Sobha Heartland and not leave Sobha Heartland. You got school, you got the hospital, you got all the shops, you got the barbers, you got the supermarket, you got the football field, you got everything over here. So a lot of communities today, they've established they have everything in them. And a lot of them, you can even work in the community. You can go to your office. So, I mean, this has changed. Also, you know, another trend that's been happening in the last like 4 or 5 years, predominantly more now, is branded residences. People really appreciate branded residence because usually in the past, it was more of a hotel brand. Today, it's become more, you can have an automobile brand like Bugatti that have come in, Pagani, or you can have like a fashion brand like Cavalli or like Elise Saab. And people like that kind of lifestyle. There's that touch, and they know that quality that's associated to that brand and the lifestyle it kind of, you know, gives them. And we've seen a huge trend. There's approximately around 60 branded projects I've completed, and I think there's in the pipeline another 100
Wow.
Different brands. And I think that's really attracting people. There's only, I think, Bugatti Tower in Dubai. And, you know, if the Bugatti enthusiasts, if they want to have a Bugatti car and the property, where are they going to go?
Yeah.
They're going to come here.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting also is the change and the shift in the actual amount of space people want to invest in, because there was a huge rise of demand for apartments, to one or two beds. I remember even when I was looking for a 3-bed, it was, you know, very difficult to find a decent one.
Yeah.
So now looking into villas and townhouses, such a huge influx of off-plan projects that are focused on the bigger spaces. I've noticed that a lot more couples who usually would be in apartments are now actually looking for the bigger spaces without a family involved.
Yeah.
So is that something that you guys have been looking at?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I'm a big advocate for investing in townhouses and villas because they're a limited supply. There might be a huge inventory or influx lately of launches, but that's because there's a demand for it. Okay. So there's a demand. You want to kind of supply for the demand. And the prices have been going up because people want to live in villas. They get more, you know, value for their money, some people see it. But even for apartments, I mean, prices have been going up. I mean, if we look at how many handovers are happening year on year, we're, you know, expected, they say there's around 50 to 60,000 handovers. But the reality is every year the developer has been handing over around 35,000 units. And there's year on year, like last year, I was reading a study, there was 240,000 people that moved out. And let's say the 240,000, the family of 4, okay? You can do it at 3, that's a real family, but that's based on 4. You're talking that the people that are coming are not, the demand is not matching the supply. Still, the demand is a lot more than the supply. Now, that's how it is temporarily. Some people will be skeptical and say, you know what, it's going to change. It might change. There might be a correction. But again, that's why I said Dubai is a long-term investment.
Because I think that there has been that misperception of that the short-term and long-term investment. People think they want to come in, they want to make money quick, they want to like flip a lot
have done. That's the thing. That's why people are like, I want to make money quick, because a lot of people have made money quick. And I'm not going to lie, I'm one of them. I bought properties because I've been in the industry. I bought properties and flipped them. I get it. But it's not that sustainable. You have to look in the long term. At one point or another, every market will have a correction, okay? It will be a small correction, but the rental yields are solid. You'll make good rental yield. You will know that you're going to be holding the property value, and long term, you're going to make good money. You may make a lot of money in the short term, but don't enter it based on short-term gains. I always say that because you never know what happens. You mentioned Trump. We don't know. Could there be a correction? Unlikely. It might not happen. It might continue growing and growing even faster, and we might even benefit. But, you know, I'm kind of also a guy that, you know, I want to sit on the sidelines and see what happens. Yeah.
Well, look, as a serial investor yourself, for someone who's listening who is a first-time investor and has heard the chitter-chatter about Dubai, and it's been something that's been quite promising in their minds, what would you say to them that they should really look for? Like, what is their checklist when it comes to investing here?
Okay, look, when you're coming in, location is important. I mean, it's overused word, but location is important, right? So you want to see you want to buy something in a location where the infrastructure is done, it's close proximity, all the amenities are over there. So if there is a correction, you're going to be the least hit. Right? That's one importance. You want to look at the developer history that you're buying from. Are they established developer? Have they delivered projects before? Because you want to know if the developer has delivered projects before, then you can go and look at that development and kind of understand what they're going to deliver in the future. Right? That's an important thing. I mean, they're the main aspects, and get a good broker. Can explain everything to you, right? And that's our job.
Nice little plug there. We'll do the job for you. Well, what's really, really important is the developer, right? And, you know, Sobha themselves have just been so phenomenal as a reputation in the industry. It really precedes them. The quality, the actual end product that you get is of unbelievable standards. What has your experience been with Sobha? I know you've worked closely with them over the years.
So we've been dealing with Sobha for since like 8 years right now. Wow. And I'll say our success is due to Sobha. in a way. I'll be honest with you. Why? Because we've sold properties to our clients that were delivered and people have made premiums, received the property. If they're end users, they're happy, they're living in a great community. Like when I drive to Sobha Heartland, like I said before, you got schools, amenities, everything here. The greenery sometimes when you're driving around here makes me feel like I'm in London, to be honest, in the summertime. So they have great amenities. It's great. People have made good premiums and returns on their properties. And for end users, they're very satisfied, which means happy client, they buy again, they refer more clients, as we were discussing before. So we've had a very good relationship with Sobha that we're working with, and we grew because of them.
Yeah.
We're the brokers, we sell the product, they do a great product. It's a win-win situation.
Well, it's coming round or just been a year since the floods in the UAE, and it made me think about the fact that I have been living in a Sobha property right here in Heartland, actually, and I was untouched and unfazed. And this is why it's incredibly important for people to do their due diligence on the developers that they are investing in, because me and my family were safe. We had no issues. I had, thank God, I didn't have to deal with any issues from that. But this is very important for people to hear that are listening to the podcast.
Absolutely. I mean, like Sobha is a vertically integrated developer. They're involved. They create their joineries. They create all the cement works and everything. They got their contractors. So, they're on time. They delivered all their projects on time. Top quality, good communities. And that's important when you're looking to who to purchase from.
Well, look, I have to now shift the conversation because, it's something that we can say are bold predictions, but we don't want to, put that too hard and fast on you. We want to switch it up. And with your full honesty and truth for those on the other end hearing the podcast here today, is Dubai the future for a lot of people?
Look,
I know your answer, but I have to ask you.
Look, I'm a long-term advocate of the UAE. Everything they're doing has been great till now. I mean, they're attracting the top minds and the brains from around the world. They're heavily, when I came, the UAE in general was a very oil-driven country. Today, it's not. They've diversified to tourism, hospitality, even like, Medicare, travel. People come here to get treated and stuff. Industries, factories are moving here in Jabal Ali and stuff from all around the world. There's even some parts of cars are even manufactured in the UAE. So they're investing heavily in different industries, technology. A lot of the influencers around the world are moving over here as a hub also for them. So I'm a big advocate of the UAE. And again, I mean, safety, security is very important for everyone. Right? You want to walk outside your house and make sure that, your kids are safe. That's important for everyone. And Dubai offers that.
Well, we briefly touched earlier on, the kind of hybrid living situation a lot of people are experiencing that are based here in Dubai, splitting up their year. Could we see a global second citizenship trend coming through?
I mean, look, today, they've given golden visas, the 10 years or 5 years, 2 years, and that's attracted a lot of people to move over here because they can sit and work and live and retire over in Dubai. It could be, it's on the table, you never know with Dubai. When the right time, they will put it down on the table.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any news about it, but I'm sure at one point or another it will happen.
Yeah, we're all hopeful, I'm sure. Okay, so what are your predictions then in the next, or what is the next big shift that you and the team foresee happening? Can you share anything with us? Just a general terms for the global real estate investments.
Look, year on year, Dubai right now has been increasing in all terms of sales. Obviously, off-plan's been increasing by 25% compared to last year. So is secondary transactions. Mortgages have been increasing. There's 45% of secondary transactions were mortgages, and we're going to continue to see an uptrend in that. Branded residences, there's been more of that happening and more purchases and more brands coming in and establishing themselves in Dubai. An interesting fact that I've also been looking into is women buyers. There's been increase in female women buyers in the UAE, and that's great, Wow. And we're seeing an increase in that. They're coming on board and investing. and more nationalities. We haven't like touched all nationalities yet. I mean, we got probably. I think Dubai. I think we looked at it. Like, there's a buyer from every country around the world, but there's some countries that we still didn't get the volume yet, and I'm sure they're going to come one day and start purchasing properties in Dubai.
Yeah, absolutely. Loai, there's one last thing I wanna ask you and pick your brain on, is that every year comes around and I hear so many people around me say, I should have invested last year when I thought about it. I should have invested 2 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Why is now the right time to invest in Dubai?
Look, again, for me, real estate is a long-term game. Forget what the past was, the prices. It's not going to come back. I mean, yeah, the prices have increased, but if you compare Dubai to all major cities, like I was doing a comparison, I think, to Hong Kong square foot or square meter price, and we were like 10 or 20% compared to that. I'm like, that's a huge difference between the two, especially in London. So there's a lot of potential for the city to grow. And today, I think we're at 3-point-something million population. And based on the 2030 plan and the 2040 plan of Dubai, they want to aim to get it to 7 and 8 million. So there's so much potential growth in the city still to be established. So you're going to make your rental yield, and the prices will appreciate. And, also real estate, forget Dubai for a second. Real estate it protects you. People don't want to have their money in the bank anymore. Inflation, your money's getting devalued. So automatically when you have inflation at such high rates that we've seen lately around the world, it will automatically just increase prices of properties wherever you are, right? So always put your money in real estate, I believe. And if you're going to go and do a study, what's going to be the best place in the world to put your money in real estate, right now it is Dubai.
Well, I think I'm going to end with a statement then, which is Dubai isn't just building towers, it's building a lifestyle empire.
Absolutely.
And I think that rounds off beautifully a phenomenal episode, conversation that I've had with you here today. I want to thank you so much for your time, for sharing your expertise and your knowledge. And we're excited to continue to work with Provident and for it to be a beautiful relationship moving ahead as well.
My little quote, Dubai is the gold standard of real estate.
I love that. And so true, true. Loai, thank you so much for your time. In the next episode of Sobha The Living Room, we uncover what's really driving the UAE's real estate boom through the eyes of the man behind one of the region's most powerful property platforms. Can you guess who it is? Hit subscribe on YouTube or follow us on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss it.